Half a decade later and still no arrests. The only reminder of what happened here on Ross Road all those years ago is a flyer with Cedric's photo and the offer of a reward. Her first trial in 2019 ended in a hung jury, so it did go to a retrial. Meanwhile, the westbound lanes, also major traffic. You can see that line of cars that is just creeping along here. It is the day that we've been waiting for all year long, really, since last year's Honor Flight Tallahassee. It's our honor series where we get to share some of the experiences with you at home. The Leon County Sheriff's Office really just releasing that information that this shooting has turned deadly. A lot of the governor's supporters here tonight very excited about that news. Of course, the governor's camp had already been referring to this event as an election night celebration. So, for example, this ginger beer bottle was found fully intact at the site. It dates from the early 1800s, and I want you to take a look at this. By using 3D scanning technology, they're able to give access to it. People up close and personal look at it. You can see the grooves in it. You can even take a look right inside of it. And we're hearing that the students aren't taking guns to school to necessarily commit violence there, but rather for protection as they come and go from school. So what does it say that teens are arming themselves, that they don't feel safe in their community, and what should parents do about that?
What does that say? That's a great question.
No sign of a struggle, nothing missing, large-scale searches in the area turning up no clues. Here in Florida, you might remember the legislature recently created a task force commission to look at the issue. They'll decide on how to move forward with each site. Now, that has not happened in Georgia. Breaking news today at 4. A mystery that has plagued Tallahassee for more than a year is seemingly solved. The latest on what we are learning about those human remains found yesterday in a wooded area off Appalachian Parkway. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today at 4 o'clock. I'm Katie Kaplan. The state attorney's office combing through the evidence of that large-scale shooting, questioning more than half a dozen witnesses. Our Savannah Kelly takes us inside the courtroom. The TPD investigator who testified today also says Cannon's gun was linked to cartridge casings that were recovered from a shooting in Gaston County back in April of 2021. That left 7 people injured. We reached out to Quincy PD for comment tonight, but they deferred us back to the state attorney's office. In South Georgia, reports of an active shooter at Valdosta High sending the campus into lockdown and parents into a panic. It all unfolded around 10 this morning when law enforcement received information about the possible threat. Officials later saying it was part of an elaborate hoax. So realistic, some parents drove to the campus trying to get in touch with their children.
We've been standing out here.
And some parents say they believe the school should have communicated with parents exactly what was going on to avoid panic off campus. Now, the same scenario playing out in Savannah around the same time today. Officials there receiving a call about multiple injuries at a nearby high school. Multiple agencies responding to that scene. They began evacuations. That too was deemed a hoax at a later point. And while students may have walked away physically unharmed, the gravity of the situation still weighed heavily.
A lot going on.
And Governor Brian Kemp, well, he feels the same way, responding with a statement today saying the FBI is actively investigating these threats and that people can rest assured they will go after the criminals who orchestrated the hoaxes with every resource available.
Summer's right around the corner, so that means it's time to get out those swimsuits and jump in the pool.
Don't have to tell me twice.
Well, not before I get to the gym.
Okay,
coming off vacation, I need to work a couple things out there.
Me too, you're
but
right.
a Boston Terrier in Canada swims year-round.
Oh, maybe that's the key. All right, Jeannie Moose has more on the pooch who's taking doggy paddling to new heights.
Our Katie Kaplan was the first to sit down with the sheriff to talk about his findings. She joins us live in the newsroom this evening with more on the family's reaction. Katie?
Well, Ben, Abby, I'm told the Johnson family did not get a heads up that that report was going to be released. Their attorney telling me they are now processing the sheriff's comments and working on an appropriate response tonight.
They can't stop us with them lies.
Kendrick's mother, Jackie, taking to Facebook in a 20-minute live public session Wednesday afternoon after the synopsis was released.
We are not dismayed about nothing that man done said. We already knew and expected him to say just what he said.
From the documents I've read and the things, the investigation I've seen, I feel 100% sure there was no foul play.
Those words from Lowndes County Sheriff Ashley Polk after the release of a 16-page report on Kendrick Johnson's death.
It's a terrible accident, in my opinion.
Polk says he spent more than a year sifting through 17 boxes of evidence from the FBI, DOJ, and local law enforcement agencies before coming to his conclusion Johnson likely died after trying to retrieve a pair of shoes.
Unfortunately, he tried to reach down in there. I mean, we got a drawing depicting that. It's a weird accident.
Johnson's body found in a rolled-up gym mat in the old Lowndes County High School gymnasium. The case sparking national and even international attention. Johnson's family unwavering in their belief that their son was murdered.
We're not worried about it. What we're going to do is keep pushing it here.
Sheriff Polk stopped short of saying the case is closed, adding he's open to looking at any new, viable information.
You never say it's closed for good, because you never know what somebody's going to walk in the door with.
And the Johnson family is planning to host a press conference on public property outside the sheriff's office in Lowndes County tomorrow. We will be there to hear their response.
This is the kind of town you would describe as people know each other here.
It's a rural town just a short drive from the Florida-Georgia border. The last census shows a population of less than 7,000, but Police Captain Jason Roundtree says the number of cars that pass through each day can swell to 5 times that number.
Live Oak is situated at a crossroads between 2 U.S. highways, US 129 and US 90, crossing the center of downtown. We also are sandwiched between a crossroads of I-75 and I-10.
That's how the couple ended up there last July.
Driving up and my transmission burned up an hour and a half up the road.
In an interview 1 week after she vanished, Eddie told us the story of what he says happened. While waiting for the car to be fixed, they had spent several nights camping out. But after a few days,
we said, let's just get a hotel room tonight.
Kelly and Eddie checked into a room like this one, room 70 at the Sunshine Inn, a low-cost motel off one of the main arteries into town, and quickly began to argue.
She was crying, she was miserable, she was drunk. I didn't comfort her or anything. I just took her keys off her waist. And I just said, you can't drive right now, all right?
Eddie admits to locking Kelly outside.
I just went back in the room, stupidly. I went back in the room.
Screenshots of the texts they exchanged that night show the argument went on for hours, Kelly threatening to leave.
She's texting me and calling me, and I'm answering and hanging up because it's just mean stuff. She's getting drunker and drunker. I'm just trying to sleep.
This surveillance video shows one of the last known times Kelly was seen walking through the parking lot of the Sunshine Inn, just a few hours before a final voicemail from her.
You know, I'm confused.
It ended like this.
Oh, I'm gonna get a car now. Good night.
Those words 10 months ago, detectives say the last known from her.
That is essentially what we believe to be the last contact that Kelly physically had with anybody that we know of or have evidence.
Captain Roundtree is the lead investigator on the case and says several people at the motel reported seeing Kelly around that time walking away from it along the highway toward downtown, her guitar slung over her shoulder, her purse, ID, and credit cards left behind. There are unverified reports that Kelly's cell phone last synced with Google about an hour after that voicemail was sent in this area, the heart of downtown and roughly only a mile from the Sunshine Inn. But since then, there has been no activity. The couple has a rocky past, with domestic violence issues in Gainesville documented by court records, police reports, and 911 calls.
She's saying, please calm down, Eddie.
It was very toxic, and it just became more and more concerning for me and for a lot of her friends.
Despite their sordid past, Eddie maintains he had nothing to do with her disappearance.
Did you do anything to harm her?
Absolutely not.
He says he woke up around 9:30 the next day, checked out of the hotel, and started looking for Kelly, spending the next few days doing just that.
I'm looking around town, asking everybody. Nobody's seen her. Nobody has a clue.
Eddie even drove back to Gainesville searching for her before driving home to his parents' house in Massachusetts in Kelly's car.
Eddie Emerson is a person of interest in the case.
Captain Roundtree says because of their relationship and their past, Eddie is being looked at, but he's been cooperative, undergoing an estimated 13 hours of police interviews and posting most of the missing flyers that are now fading around town. And detectives say there are several other people in Live Oak who are under suspicion. Live Oak PD has been involved in more than 15 organized ground searches using cadaver dogs and drones, while another team of investigators has also been working the case.
You guys have made touch points on most of these locations?
Yes.
A pair of former law enforcement officers turned licensed private eyes hired by Kelly's friends, inviting us inside their war room at their Gainesville headquarters.
Somebody in Live Oak knows what happened to Kelly.
Telling me they looked into Eddie's past, retraced the couple's steps leading up to her disappearance, and tracked down several alleged sightings of Kelly in South Georgia in the months after she vanished.
It wasn't her.
They believe the key to what happened lies in the details of what the couple did in the days leading up to July 15th.
I don't believe it was somebody that just jumped off of I-10 and came down 129 into Live Oak and scooped Kelly up. I believe she ran across somebody that she knew or was familiar with.
While the couple waited for Eddie's car to be fixed, they made the rounds around town, visiting this restaurant, getting the vehicle fixed at this auto shop just around the corner from that last late night phone ping. And there are, of course, several other people who had been staying at the Sunshine Inn that night.
And that makes the case difficult.
As time drags on, friends of Kelly have seen hope halt. Initially thinking she might just be blowing off steam.
Something happened. And somebody knows something.
Now fearing the worst.